over to UK today, back to UK today, to bring my guest on. My guest is a very special guest. He's a guest who carries an MBE in his name. He's a guest who's been in the Guinness Book of Records. He's a guest that looks so damn young at the age that he is, and he's probably one of the most famous faces on all British TV and probably throughout the world. His name is Bill Roache. I'll introduce him as Ken Barlow. Bill, how are you? And
I'm very well. How are you?
Well, I'm delighted to have you on the show, Bill. We spoke many times, but mostly on radio, and now we're face to face. Tell me, what do you think of this hunk?
Well, you know, people talk about having a good face for radio. I think you've got a good face for television.
Oh, Bill, you're charming. You know the right things to say. I'm delighted to see you. Now, Bill, you're in lockdown, and of course, very strict lockdown. We'll talk about lockdown Coronation Street style. Oh, I can hear hooting. I can hear that bird hooting in the back. How beautiful is that? A bird hooting. I think it's a pigeon I heard in the background there. Tell me, where are you? You're in your garden. Well, tell me more.
Yeah, I'm in my garden in Winslow, which is about a quarter of an acre. We have neighbours next door who have children who are playing, so you may hear some noises there. Normally, it's very, very quiet. I'm very fortunate. I have my two children, Verity and Will, with me. And we're enjoying the good weather. It's very nice. And I know it's an awful thing for many people are having a very hard time with lockdown. We're one of the lucky ones. We're together. Many people are on their own, which isn't easy. And we're passing the time very well. Coronation Street has just started filming, but we've been told that the oldies, the over 70s, which I'm a bit older than 70, are not going to be called until about August. So
can I ask you on that point? First of all, when talking about oldies, may I wish you a belated 88th birthday?
Yes.
Which happened a month in April. So I want to wish you 88. Yeah. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Now, if you took your wig off, would you look any different?
Well, I could take the wig off, yes.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. Bill, let's talk about that. I want to talk about you because you're ever-looking youth. Now, Cliff Richard, as you remember, was called the Peter Pan of pop. But as he approached his mid-70s, he certainly started to age a bit, as you might have noticed. But Bill, you haven't aged, certainly over the last 20-odd years. What is it? Give me the secret. I want the secret, and I want it now, and so does everybody who's watching.
Well, about 20 years ago, I decided that every birthday I was going to get younger. Now, you can joke about that, but in fact, the aging process is partly a belief system, and you don't have to buy into it. You don't need to deteriorate because of aging. We deteriorate because of what we do to ourselves while we're getting older, like not eating well, drinking too much, smoking, not getting enough exercise. There are certain basic things like you need to get enough sleep, get enough water, get enough vegetables, get enough fresh food. And then stress is the big problem. I meditate. I've meditated for 30 more years. I actually don't need to meditate now. I can go to the place where I do meditate and I just go into the silence, and that helps to keep peaceful. But basically, you inherit the genes. I'm lucky with that. And then it's up to you how you treat them. Do the basic things of getting enough sleep, exercise, vegetables, and all that. And fundamentally, you've got to be enjoying life. You've got to feel there's a purpose to life as well. I'm fortunate in that I have my knowing, which is my knowing, and that pleases me. So I'm very happy. I'm probably as happy now as I've ever been.
Let's just go back a little bit to your life and how we got to know you. 1960, that was BB, even before the Beatles. And there you were, a handsome young man, as you are now, a handsome young man, appearing on a soap called Coronation Street. The very first, I believe I'm right, the very first one screened Tell me the whole story of how that came about and what your thoughts were after appearing.
Well, it's interesting that Tony Warren, who wrote Coronation Street, was employed by Granada, the Bernsteins, who owned Granada, and he wrote this thing, and the Bernsteins said, no, people don't want realism, they want escapism. But it was at the time when there was Marlon Brando and James Dean in the cinema, there was John Osborne, Look Back in Anger in the theatre, and on television, we were the new realism. So when we started, when the Bernsteins were persuaded to do it, and we hit the screen, we were instantly a big success. There were no soaps. I still don't like the word soap. We were a cutting-edge drama serial with the new realism representing that side of it. From my point of view, I just started acting. I'd had a lead in a television play. Now, the play of the week was the highlight of the week, and I'd had a lead in late 1960, and I filmed that up in Granada. And unbeknown to me, while I was filming this play called Marking Time, Tony Warren saw that this was going on, took the casting people down into the studio and pointed to me and said, he is the man I want for Ken Barlow. I didn't know about this. So I did this play, and it was going to come out in a few weeks. And I went back to London. I had my flat in London. I'd done a few small film parts, and I was really getting going. My career was going to take off. When my agent said, Granada want you back in Manchester to do this series. He said, I don't know what it is. I think it's a northern comedy. I said, well, I'm not interested because I'm in London. I've got everything going now. I've got this play coming out, so I don't want to do it. Well, he rang me back later and said, look, they're going to do a pilot. You haven't got anything on at the moment. They're going to pay you for that. You might as well do the pilot. There's nothing else to do while you're waiting for your play. So I did the pilot. And then I went back, and my agent said, Bill, they want you in this series. I said, I've told you, I don't want to do it. And he said, look at it this way. It's only going to run for 11 weeks. In the middle of that 11 weeks, going out twice a week, you will have the lead in a play straight after it. Now, what a great shop window that will be. So I said, yeah, that sounds good. Okay, I'll do it. And it's just been a very long 11 weeks.
Bill, you were a devilish handsome young man, as you know. You can't deny that. Were your ambitions lying when you went onto this? And you're right about soap operas. These EastEnders and the actors are all top of the range. So to call them soaps, I think, diminishes slightly what it really is.
To me, the soap is a derogatory term to me.
No.
We're ongoing. I'm in the Guinness Book of Records, and fortunately, it says the longest-serving actor in an ongoing drama. Now, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
But the word soap, I know it's gone into, people accept it and they don't know anything about it, but because I remember what it meant, it was soap commercials used to run a little story with a family, and that's how they started, and that's why they were called soaps. But we're not. We're a drama serial. Anyway, let's not bother. I don't bother about that now.
Absolutely. You know, I'm sure you don't. But why I'm bringing just this little bit, going back a little. Where were your ambitions lying? Because I said your looks were Hollywood star looks. Were your ambitions lying in movies? The big star going to Hollywood?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't so interested. I wanted to be a good actor. I wanted to learn acting. That's why I did 2 years in rep. But unfortunately, they don't have it now. And for young actors in my day, the repertory theatres were great training ground. My aim was to be in movies, yes. But in this country, I'd be quite happy to stay here. I just wanted to do that. And I'd done 4 small parts in films, and it was just getting going there. And this lead in the play and everything was going to move me forward. So who knows what would have happened if I hadn't been in Coronation Street.
Yeah, well, you've certainly got your pension out of Coronation Street and more, and we're delighted that you're still in. Now we're talking about lockdown. You are in lockdown, and you're both of us are of an age where they say we're in the danger period. Like if we go to hospital, forget it, go snuff it. We need your beds. But on a serious point, it is going to be difficult psychologically for you to leave, and it was as was for me after 3 months, because in Spain we had a very serious lockdown, a bit unlike you had in UK. But you're going to have to go back and face actors, probably without a mask, etc. What's your thoughts on that?
I'm very happy to do it. I don't know. I mean, I assume people know what they're doing, and the lockdown was done to stop the disease spreading and all that, and it'll pass. But I don't have any worries about it. If I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. If I'm not, I'm not. And just like the flu epidemics every year, I know this is worse than that. I know that. But I'm taking it like that, philosophically. I don't wear a mask. I don't go to the shop. We go to the garden centre, and we go out a bit, as much as we're allowed to. And I don't wear a mask. But that's up to each individual. I think the best defense against this bug is your own immune system, and that is by eating the right vegetables, drinking water and things like that, and keeping yourself as happy as you can. Joy is an important part of life, and I know it's awfully difficult. I'm chatting away here, but there are people who are ill, and they've got relatives terminally ill, and there's all sorts of unfortunate, unpleasant situations going on. My heart goes out to everyone. But I'm very happy when they call me to work, I'll go to work, and that's it.
You know that I've often wondered, because I could sing a song or do an opening. I had a show that ran for 4 or 5 years, and the opening song, I think, was a song called Achy Breaky Heart, some silly country song, funny little thing. But I could never remember the words, but always on the screen. But you have all these scripts. Tell me, I'm fascinated, working, that you get your script, you come home. How much time do you have to learn it?
Well, because it's sort of ongoing, we get the scripts roughly about two weeks before we're going to do it, and then we're busy doing something. So what I like to do, the weekend that I've received my new scripts, I read through it, and I have a look to see if there's any difficult bits to learn, long speeches and things like that, and I get that into my head. And then over that weekend, I like to roughly learn it. Now, learning to me is not like learning poetry. You're learning the understanding. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? It's the feelings that are going into it, and reading it and rereading it and getting to understand what you're actually going through. And then if it's well written, which it is, we're very lucky with good writers, the words sort of fall into place. And then when the week that I'm doing it starts, on the night before, I really brush up. The day before, I polish up the scenes I'm going to be doing that day. Once I've done them, I've forgotten them. If they said we need to retake, I'd have to relearn. Because if I got 60 years of scripts in my head, I don't think there'd be room for much else.
Do you ad-lib at all? Do you ad-lib, or do you have to do word for word?
You've got to be word perfect.
Wow.
You've got to be word perfect, and we have virtually no rehearsal. We go in, you're called on the set, you go through the words quickly for the boom and the camera, then they go for it. And that's it. That's all you get.
You have the big awards, of course, every year. And it's up, well, you've got now, what, 4 or 5 of you. There's EastEnders, Coronation Street, Emmerdale, what have you. When you go to these awards, do you know in advance whether you've won or lost?
Well, the rivalry between the soaps is not to do with the actors. We're all actors doing our job to the best of our ability. When we meet, we're friendly. You know, I feel no rivalry with EastEnders or anything else. We're our own show. Each show has its own personality and its own particular thing. And often they say, "Oh, Coronation Street's doing this because EastEnders did that." I don't think that's so, because the writers are working about 6 months in advance, and we each just, if we say things, it's because there's something not too good with what's happening to us, and we just need to look at that. You don't need to relate yourself to other shows. That's for the media, people like yourself, maybe, of interest. Which show is winning the best episode of the year or whatever. It's quite nice to do that, a bit like getting a prize at school. But as actors, we all get on well, and you know, there isn't a rivalry between us. Not from my point of view, anyway.
So you're a conservative at heart, but you're playing, is it a Labour man or it's difficult. You've got your conservative.
No, I am not political now.
Okay.
I'm apolitical.
Apolitical.
I think. Good. Yeah, I think the left and right and all that, and one government getting in, doing something, another redoing all that, is a waste of everybody's time. We should just go for what is the right thing to do. And I'm more interested and concerned about our spiritual side, if you like. The politics is important, but I don't have a political persuasion now. I just go. Sometimes, if you're of a certain political persuasion, you have to say everything that the other people say is wrong. And often it isn't. I just want to go for what is right, what is best, for what is for the greater good, and what is the best for people.
Let's get
both the point. So both sides need to be looked at.
Let's get your daughter, of course, is there looking after you. You're very well. I suppose you could be looking after her as well. You're so young and fit. but Verity, who thanks you so much for helping set this up. Is she at arm's length? Can we bring her in and want to find out what it's like to have a famous dad? The beautiful Verity.
Having a drink in the garden.
Oh,
this is Verity. She's wonderful.
Hi, Verity. I just want to ask you, you're there with your dad, and thank you so much for helping set this up. What's it like, especially when you were at school, having a famous dad? Did people know that Ken Barlow was your dad and say to you, how come your name is Roache and not Barlow?
I've never had that. I have, funny enough, never had that question, as in how is my name, how come my name's not Barlow? But because growing up, Daddy's always been there, so all of my friends saw him all of the time at school. He would come and pick me up, and so it was, you know, that was who I was. So everybody was used to seeing my father as my father.
Yeah,
so it never really. Oh, sorry.
Sometimes you read of people like Rod Stewart's son and Terry Wogan's son, that they have trouble having a famous parent, a father or a mother. They find it hard they want to be normal with their friends, but find, why are my friends my friends? Especially when maybe you were a teenager. Why are my friends my friends? Are they because I have a famous dad? Did you come across that? You seem like like your dad, a very content, happy person.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, not that I was actually actively aware of. I mean, you know, I mean, I'm sure maybe there might have been some people who've come into my life, you know, maybe for that, and they might not have come into my life. I really don't know. But I feel so blessed and fortunate. I have the most beautiful friends, and I just feel so, yeah, very blessed. So I don't really, I really haven't come across that as being an issue.
Is he a strict dad when it comes to boyfriends? Does he say, no, I don't agree with him? Out, hammer home by 10. Listen, it's great to meet you guys. I'm so happy that honestly, do you know something? I was going to say, Ken, do you know something, Bill? You're a ray of sunshine. And I can see where Verity gets that. It comes from you. You've got a positive attitude, which is infectious.
Well, Verity has got the best positive attitude I've ever come across.
Yeah, but I've inherited it.
Well, she's always so positive and always full of energy and telling me to stand up straight and do things, behave myself. But no, they're lovely. We all get on very well, fortunately. Will's around somewhere doing something, but otherwise we call him over.
Okay. Well, look, before I let you go, I've read a quote where you say you want to be in Coronation Street until you're 100. Is that still an ambition?
Yeah, why not? I enjoy Coronation Street, and while I can do it and while they want me, I'll be there. And as I said, I'm getting younger every year anyway, so why not?
Quite right, quite right. Listen, thank you, both of you, for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Yeah,
Special.
thank you very much.
What a beautiful
Lovely
family
talk.
you have. Thank you so much. But there he
Thank
is.
you.
There he is. Bill Roache, Ken Barlow, very the Maurice, a beautiful family, and we thank you for joining us today.